বিজয়ফুল আমাদের মুক্তিযুদ্ধ বিজয়ের প্রতীক। ডিসেম্বরের ১ থেকে ১৬ তারিখ প্রতিদিন বিজয় ফুল পড়ুন, বিজয়কে বুকে ধারণ করুন।
Hello everyone, good afternoon, welcome to the show. It's a very special show we have today with the children, who is going to talk with Dr. Selim Jahan, a very renowned economist and writer. He's a great storyteller. Through his wonderful stories, he does let us know about the stories of our liberation war, and I'm sure the children today will enjoy his story. Children will learn a lot from him, and I do welcome you all. I do have some lovely children. I have Rida, I have Wafik Zaman, I have Nuha, I have Aiden Ahmed, and I have Michelle Mohammed. I welcome you all to the shows. Hello children, hope you're having a lovely day. And I would like to meet Dr. Selim Jahan. You can see he's our special guest today, and you can have a wonderful time with him. I'm sure you can learn about the liberation of Bangladesh. You can learn that how Bangladesh was formed, how did Bangladesh have his birthday on the 16th of December, and what it did cost us to achieve this land which we call our motherland. I know that you all were born here and your parents came here a long time back, but I'm sure you do cherish the roots you have come from, and I'm very, very sure that you love Bangladesh as much as you do love England. So welcome, children. The first one I would ask, Michelle Mohammed, would you like to say something about yourself, please?
I'm Michelle. I'm year 11, and yeah.
Nice
would
meeting
you. Like to say, how old are you and what do you study and where do you come from? Like which part of Bangladesh do you come from?
So I come from Tangal, Dhonbari in Bangladesh. I am 15 years old, and currently I am studying citizenship and geography for GCSEs at school.
How lovely to know that. And then we do have Nuha. Nuha, would you like to say something about yourself, please? Hello, Nuha, can you hear me? Can you unmute yourself, please?
Sorry. I'm Nuha. I'm also 15. In school, I study history, French, art, and design, and my parents are from Dhaka. I'm like religious, and yeah.
Dear viewers, I just forgot to let you know Nuha's real name. Her name is Adiba Hussain. So lovingly we call her Nuha. And then we have Radia Hussain. So Radia Hussain, welcome to the show. I think she's the youngest member of this show today. And Radia would like to tell you something about herself. Radia, could you tell me your full name and how old are you? Which class do you study? And what do you like?
I'm 10 years old, and my full name is Radia Tasnim Hussain.
That's very nice.
That's lovely. And very now nice. We have Wafik Zaman. So welcome to the show, Wafik. Would you like to tell me a little bit about yourself and let the audience know what you do and what you like?
Yeah, my name's Wafik. I live in Southeast London. I'm in year 10, and at school I study economics, triple science, English, maths, French, German, and DT.
That's lovely. Do you know which part of Bangladesh your parents come from?
Yeah, my dad's from Jamalpur and my mom's from Kisharganj.
How lovely to know that. Thank you. And last but not the least, we have Aiden Ahmed. So hello, Aiden. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Farah. It's a pleasure being here. Thank you for inviting me.
সবাইকে বিজয় দিবস শুভেচ্ছা।
Thank you so much. Would you like to tell me about yourself?
Thank you so much. Would you like to tell me about yourself, please?
My home village is Boishal. My mom's home village is Taingail. I have visited Bangladesh several times. I've been to my grandmother's great grandmother's village. I have seen Shriti Shod, which was built for the
Can you
memory
tell
of
me
the
how old are you and
1971.
which year
Can
do
you
you
tell me
study?
how old are you and which year do you study?
Can you tell me how old are you?
Can you tell me how old are you?
I'm 11 years old.
Thank you. Thank you, children,
Thank you.
for
Thank
giving
you,
us
children,
a
for
lovely
giving
introduction yourself, and I'm sure everybody loved hearing you. So now, can we go to the special guest? Can we ask him to give his introduction to the children so they get to know you better?
Yeah, thank you, Farah. I think since you have introduced yourselves, it's only natural that I should introduce myself to you. When I look at you, all these young gentlemen and ladies, I think there are three things common with the five of you. First, when the Liberation War started in 1971, I was about 20, so I was very close to the ages of, I think, Nuha and Michelle.
Yes.
Second, I see, by profession, I'm an economist. So I'm seeing an economist in the making, and that is Wafik. I think one of your areas is economics. And third, I think I call him Bonbon. So Bonbon's ancestral home is Barishal, I think, from your further side. I come from Barishal. So
lovely to know that.
We have so many things in common, and we will have an exciting show today and even today where we would just exchange his ideas, as well as I would answer the kind of the questions that you have. I can also tell a little bit about my own experiences and what happened about 50 years ago when I was a kid of 20. So I'm not a new kid on the block, but I'm just one of you. So just feel free to ask questions and we'll have an exciting time.
So children, did you like what Dr. Selim Jahan said? Did you did you find any similarities? Whatever you say, what he does and where we come from.
And I think their similarity doesn't end there. I think I'm also a young man. The difference is you are less younger than I am. So that's basically it. Farah, do you want me to start, or do you
Yes,
want?
of course, I would like you to tell them about Bijoyphool. Though our children, they are the second and third generation. They do have ideas about the Bangladesh, and some of them has been the young ambassador of Bijoyphool. So if you'd like to tell them also, and also the audience, like what Bijoyphool is and how did it evolve, so maybe they would form some question from there, and then we can go to the stories of liberation or war and how did Bangladesh came into being. Thank you.
Yeah. I think we all know, and you have all made Bijoyphool, and you are very much familiar with Bijoyphool. It's a symbolic flower. There's nothing called Bijoyphool in reality, but it's a kind of a symbol. And we need symbol in various areas of life, just to represent something, just to tell something in a nutshell about a long, about a large, or about a quite diversified things. So the flag is also a symbol of a country. So when we see the flag, we know that what country the flag represents. When you see Union Jack, you know, well, this is the flag of England. You see a flag where there's green and there's red sun inside it. At the middle, you know, it's a flag of Bangladesh. When you have a white background and a red rising sun in the middle, which country does it represent? Yes? Japan, exactly. So therefore, we use symbol to represent something. It can be a flag, it can be a book, it can be something. We also use different kinds of symbol to reflect different things in life. We all know that we have achieved our independence in 1971 after a 9-month bloody war. But it is also the culmination of a struggle for more than 25 years, where we have been part of Pakistan, a kind of a colony of West Pakistan. We have been exploited, we have been discriminated, and that's a long struggle that we have had to have the right for self-determination, for autonomy and all kinds of things. So since you have a long history of struggle, long history of movement and a liberation war, it is so vast that we need to represent it by something. Of course, our country is represented by our national flag, but in order to reflect and represent the kind of the struggle and our liberation war, we needed a kind of a symbol. And the Bijoyphool is that kind of a symbol. It symbolizes our struggle, it symbolizes our victory and all kinds of things. In my mind, when I look at the Bijoyphool, I see that three things are very clear. One, it is a symbol of victory. On the 16th December 1971, we became independent, we became a nation, and the Bijoyphool actually symbolizes that particular victory. Second, it not only represents victory, but it also represents the war of liberation, the long struggle that we have had. And basically, when you look at the middle of that flower with the red sun, it is a rising nation, of course, but it also represents the blood that had been shed by millions of people, not only during the liberation war, but during all the movements that preceded that particular war. So it's also a symbol of our struggle and of our liberation. And third, and that's very important, that you know that lots of people and the Mukti Jodhas, which are basically liberation freedom fighters, have fought for this country. Some of them actually passed away during the struggle. Some of them were killed by the Pakistani army. Some of them are still surviving. So we need to pay our respect. We need to recognize, we need to salute those freedom fighters for their contribution, for their sacrifice. And I think the Bijoyphool is a very good symbol to do that, as a kind of a tribute, as a kind of a homage to thousands of freedom fighters who have actually laid their lives for this particular country. Over and above all this, I think Bijoyphool can do a lot of other things too. One of the things that you know that we have 5 main rivers, you know that we have 5 different ethnicities in Bangladesh. The 5 petals of the flower can reflect that. Our country is very green, lush green, as has been said by many. So the green color of the petals can represent those lush green lands of Bangladesh. The sun in the middle, or the red circle in the middle, represents the blood that we have actually shed for our country. But it also represents a kind of rising aspirations and hopes for the country as well. Thirdly, the Bijoyphool can be a symbol of bridging the generations. I mean, using the flower, your parents, your grandparents can tell you the stories of the War of Liberation, what has happened in 1971. So you together can make flowers, but at the same time, you can tell stories among each other. And that also can be a bridge between the first generation, second generation, and third generation. So I think, in a nutshell, the Bijoyphool is a very powerful instrument, a very powerful symbol. It has the agility and the flexibility of being used in different contexts for different purposes. And I think that's basically the kind of the role that the Bijoyphool can play. And you all know, and you should be proud of that the Bijoyphool was first invented, thought of, dreamt of in London. And London actually paved the way of spreading it to different capitals in different parts of the country. Today, Bijoyphool is not only a symbol, but it is also a movement. And you know that the Bijoyphool are being made both inside the Bangladesh, in different capitals of the country. It has brought different groups of people, whether inside the country and outside the country. So I see it as a symbol of unity, as a symbol of togetherness of all of us who are Bengalis and who are citizens of Bangladesh. So I also salute you because you are representing the city where the Bijoyphool was born.
Yes. And I must tell you, like, these children, they have taken in the process of Bijoyphool making, and I think they do know that who was the brainchild behind this Bijoyphool. So who would like to tell me that who did discover Bijoyphool? Anyone knows? You all know her.
Anybody else?
You like to tell her?
We can't let one monopolize.
I can't hear you. I can't hear you.
Oh, it's Shamima.
Oh, Shamim Bubu, okay. And, by the way, Shamima, that she's the brainchild of this Bijoyphool, I forgot to mention. And these children do know her very well because these children have worked with her in many occasions. They have attended her Bangla class. They have attended many storytelling workshop with her. So I think she should be proud to see them here today. We have another new guest. Hello there. Would you like to introduce yourself, please?
Hi, my name is Eliza and I'm 14 years old and I'm in year 9.
Hi, Eliza. Welcome to the show. Lovely to have you. I'm sure you have seen some of your friends here, and I mean, you'll have a lovely time with us. Thank you for being here. And
I'm trying to remember all the names, but I'm absolutely sure that I will mix up at one point or other. I will call Nuha, Rida, and Adiba, Michelle, and that kind of thing. So forgive me if I do it.
Yes, no problem. So now can we ask Wafiq that if you have any question or anything on your mind regarding Bangladesh, any memories or any stories you would like to share or anything you want to ask to Dr. Selim Jahan? It's your show, Wafiq. You can be comfortable.
I have a few experience. I think I went to Bangladesh last in 2013, and I remember all the people like in the city and also the villages were all together. So the community were as one. So unlike maybe places like here, everyone's kind of separate and maybe do their own thing. In Bangladesh, majority of the people work together and kind of like experience things together.
I think you are absolutely right. If I may be a little bit philosophical, in the Western world, people are very much self-centered also. I mean, people are very much individualistic. You think of yourself, you think of your career, you think of your job. It's a little bit more of yourself. But in a poor country where poverty is very widespread, people need one another to excel and to survive. So as a result, the collective identity of people is very much there. And people want to deal with the issues collectively, because if you try it individually, it won't take you anywhere. So it's not only about disaster, not only about different kind of shocks where people come together, but also I think the whole notion of community bonding is very strong in Bangladesh. So you will see that in a particular community, people help each other. If you cook something, you take it to your neighbors. You inquire about your neighbors often on and try to help each other. So I think you are absolutely right. And I'm very glad that you have observed it, that in our country, the community bonding is very strong and the collective identity is also quite widespread. We actually move forward. We actually excel through depending on each other, which is quite different from what we see in some of the Western culture.
I must let you know, Dr. Selim Jahan, like our children, since they have lots of accessibility to the Bengali culture over here, so they also get together after every show to have biryani, bhat, dal, and they go to a local restaurant together and they eat together and they do have a joyous celebration. Am I right, children? Do you celebrate each celebration you have, like, you go to the restaurant and eat Bengali food? Yes or no?
Yeah.
Yes. Yes, of course. One of the two observations. Too much of food because it makes us hungry. And the second thing is, London, I have also tasted Nanna's Biryani, which you must have visited on several occasions.
You can see that also some of them are smiling because they are used to going there every day. But since COVID, we have been held back at our home, so we didn't have our celebration for a long time. Now I'd like to go to Adiba Hussain. Adiba, do you have any question for Dr. Selim Jahan, or would you like to share something about Bangladesh or about your family?
I have a question. So, both of my grandparents, they also fought for Bangladesh. They were freedom fighters. They fought first, like in the front lines. And I wanted to know what inspired you to fight for Bangladesh. Like, what were your dreams for Bangladesh, and why did you?
I heard part of you what you said, but I think I missed part of you what you have said. Are you asking me what was my dream when Bangladesh was born? Is that the question?
If I may say, she was saying that she has seen her grandparents, fought in the independence war. So, I mean, she comes from a family of a freedom fighter. So I think he would like to know, that what was your idea and that how did you see the war?
Okay, good.
That's so Adiba?
Yes. Yeah, that's right. Well, I think that's an excellent question. And first of all, let me congratulate you because you come from a family of freedom fighters. And I think we are not only proud of our freedom fighters, but we are very respectful of them. Because of them, we have gained the independence that we have today. So please convey my best wishes to your parents too. In 71, I was 20 years old, and I just entered the university. I was a sophomore at that point in time. So, for a young person, the dreams are very high, and my dreams didn't have any limit also. When we entered the university in 69, and it's a little bit of a historical perspective, I think the movement against Pakistan was not only growing, but it was reaching at a point where it was nearly exploding, because we have had 25 years of exploitation, indignity, discrimination, disparities. So as a result, all these things have had a snowball effect on the whole question of the psychology and the mentality and the demands of the Bengalis. So in 69, there was this mass movement against this dictatorial power in Pakistan, and the dictator Field Marshal Ayub Khan, and he left the seat of the power in 1963. So when we entered the university in 1969, we were in the midst of different kinds of protests, different kind of movements. Some of the students' movements, some of the movements by labor unions, some were movements which were cultural, some were movements which were political. So it was a very, what should I say, a time when everything was nearly exploding. So we were also thinking that, first of all, we are thinking that through these movements we will demand and we will be able to achieve our rights, our fair share, and also the right for self-determination. Soon it became clear that that was not going to happen. I mean, to tell you the perspective at that point in time, there was the election of a National Assembly, which is equivalent to the parliament in Britain. And Awami League, which was based in the then East Pakistan, out of the 300 seats, Awami League 169, which is an absolute majority. And so Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman was destined to be the Prime Minister of Pakistan, but he was not allowed to do that. And it became very clear to us that other than having a liberation movement and other than having a freedom movement, there's no way we can actually achieve what we have been aspiring. So that started the 1971 Liberation War. As a young man, as a young person, we thought that our dreams were sky high. We thought that we need a separate motherland, a separate country for ourselves, not only for ourselves, but also for all the people around us, for all the people in the then East Pakistan, because we need our own destiny. To reach our own destiny, we need the right for self-determination. We need a country. We want to have control that or influence the things that are important to us. So we want independence at that point of time. So it was not only political independence that people were interested in, but there was this aspiration of having what we call the economic emancipation. Political independence is basically having a state, having a flag, having a constitution, having a separate land. But that does not necessarily mean that you actually remove poverty, disparity, you actually improve the lives of the people, you actually ensure the fundamental human rights of each and everyone. So it was a dream at that point of time for all of the younger people or the young generation like me to achieve political independence, to have a land where we can have our voice, our autonomy, our agency, where we can actually do what we want to aspire to doing. And at the same time, we also wanted a land where we can actually ensure the economic independence, economic emancipation of people without poverty, without inequality and everything. So in a nutshell, it was not about our self-interest or not about what we are going to do, how we are going to do well in the country, but also to ensure that we have a separate country with voice, autonomy, and also what we can do for all the other people in that country. So that was the kind of aspiration I think most of the people of my generation at that point in time. That is precisely why my generation or even younger than me at that point in time, they actually took part in the liberation war and what we call the Mukti Juddha. And they basically took arms to fight the Pakistanis to liberate the country.
I think Michelle went off the screen, so can we ask Opu Islam to look into the matter? Okay, hey, you are Michelle. Thank you for joining me. I would like to ask Rida, our youngest guest, that does she have anything in mind to share with us? I mean, how about shall we know something about? Do you know about the national flower of Bangladesh or national fish or something like that, or a little story? Would you like to share with us? Rida, can't hear you. You need to unmute yourself, love. Thank you.
The national flower is a watermelon called Shapla.
Have you seen Shapla ever? Have you ever seen Shapla?
Yeah.
Yeah, you did. Oh, do you like the flower?
The national fruit is the jackfruit and called cacao. The national animal is the Royal Bengal tiger.
Yes. And do you know that our cricket team, Bangladesh cricket team, is known as the Royal Bengal tiger also?
No, we didn't.
Okay, go on. Go on.
Absolutely, your answers are so right. But let me make a confession. I don't like jackfruit that much.
Actually. Oh, I love jackfruit.
And this shapla come in different colors.
Yes.
It comes in purple. It comes in white. In certain cases, it also comes in blue. You know, so thank you very much.
And anything else, Rita?
I saw a yellow chocolate one.
Oh, yellow chocolate.
Yes.
How lovely. Okay, and do you like any Bangladeshi food, Rida?
No.
Yes.
Yes or no?
What do you like? Oh, what about Aidan? What about Aidan? What do you like Bangladeshi food?
Yes, I do. Thank you very much.
What do you like?
Bad dal dim.
What?
Oh, Abdul Diman.
Oh, Abdul
And what about Alize and Nuha and Michelle Wafik? What Bangladeshi food do you like? Wafik?
Yeah. Yeah, I like food from Bangladesh as well.
And what about Michelle and Alize and Nuha?
I actually kind of enjoyed jackfruit, but I also really like it's really nice.
Oh, and Alize and Nuha?
I like all food, to be honest.
Oh.
Sorry, couldn't hear you.
Could you say it once again? Our guest didn't hear you, Alize.
I like all Bangladeshi food.
Oh, she likes all Bangladeshi food.
That's
And
very
Nuha?
I like as well, but I also like lychee.
Oh, lychee, yes, yes. Bangladesh has all the lovely collection of tropical food like mango, lychees, and then special kind of blackberries and plum and
Guavas.
many more.
Yes.
Guavas, yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, definitely. Anyway, I'm gonna move to Michelle now. Michelle, do you have any question for Dr. Selim Jahan or anything you would like to share?
Yeah, I actually have a question. So I want to ask, since you were quite young when Bangladesh was born, you said that you were only 20 years old when you experienced this. How did you overcome the difficulties that you faced during your years when Bangladesh was first born, and how did you learn to overcome them?
That's a lovely question, Michelle. I'm really amazed.
That's a very lovely question, and that's a very emotional question too. I mean, for me, I think I would like to deal with it at three levels. One is, as you say, national level, macro level, that kind of thing. One is at the level of the community, and one is at the personal level. I think I will start with the personal level and get off the emotions first, because it's quite emotional for me. As I said, I have lost lots of friends and my classmates in the Liberation War. They took part in the war, and at different points in time, they were brutally killed by the Pakistani soldiers. On the front as well as outside. The university I went to is Dhaka University, which is a residential university. Not residential fully, but partly residential. So I was in one of the dorms. And on the 25th of March, when the army moved on to the campus as well as the dorms, I lost a number of friends in different dorms. Some of them are my contemporaries, some of them are a little bit senior or junior to me. And I still remember those faces. And you know, what is so emotional about it? We have moved on and we have grown old. But in my mind, those people are still standing at that point of time. So the people and the friends I used to know at that point of time are still at age, say 20. They have not grown old. They have not moved on. So I always remember those faces. That's one of the things. The second is, again, very personal, is that on the 14th of December, which is basically tomorrow, you know that lots of the intellectuals were killed. I mean, they have been picked up from their homes and they were brutally killed because they stood for Bengali nationalism, they stood for Bengali literature and everything. And the Pakistanis were quite cunning because they understood that if they can really kill or some or most of the intelligentsia, they could break the backbone of Bengalis in terms of literature, history, culture, and everything.
And also the creative-minded people.
And the creative mind, of course, the creative mind, because intelligentsia is the backbone of a particular nation, not only in providing the ideas and moving it forward, but also as a kind of a conscience for the whole nation. So I have lost, or we have lost, a number of teachers who used to teach us at Dhaka University, and that is very personal. In fact, tomorrow I'm talking to the children of some of those teachers, and I think Farah is going to host that. Day after tomorrow also, I think we can have a kind of a discussion with them. But in any case, so at a personal level, it was a cost, it was a personal loss. And I have not overcome those losses as yet, seriously. Then at the community level, as you know that in Bangladesh, we grew up in an environment where the religion of a person was very personal. So in a way, the Hindus, the Muslims, the Buddhists, the Christians, we all grew together, and we are not very much aware of who is a Muslim, who is a Hindu, and everything. We took part in the celebrations of different religions. We took part in the daily life of our friends, irrespective of their religion or class also. So during the Liberation War and even after that, there's a kind of ethnic cleansing, if I may use that word, because there has been a very premeditated attempt to basically kill the Hindus, because the Pakistani power equated Hindus with India, and they were very much wary of them. So I have lost a number of Hindu friends who were not killed, but who have migrated to India. They have moved to India. They didn't feel safe in Pakistan. So that was also a loss within the community. When we came back after the war, the community was not only devastated in terms of its infrastructure, in terms of its resources, but it was also devastated in terms of social cohesion, because the kind of the social fabric that we used to have, the social relations that we had to have, were totally destroyed. We came to a community where we found that maybe 50% of the people are no more. Either they were killed or they have actually fled to India. That was also a kind of loss to me, and a kind of how you cope with that kind of a situation. And then at the national level, of course, I mean, we all thought about Bangladesh and also thought about the country itself. You won't even believe how devastated it was. It was looted in many cases. When the Pakistanis left, they destroyed bridges, they destroyed roads, they destroyed different industrial organizations, industrial establishments. And as a result, actually, it was totally a devastated country. And today, we all should feel proud that just like a phoenix, Bangladesh has risen out of those ashes. And sometimes when people criticize Bangladesh nowadays, I always tell them they don't know what it was in 1971. And to move from that kind of thing is only can be compared to rising of a phoenix out of the ashes. So I think to a very simple answer to your question, that the feelings of me as a young person at that point in time were quite multidimensional. Personal loss, the kind of the loss within the community, and the kind of the struggle and the constraints at the national level.
I hope, children, you have understand, because I'm sure you all have studied British values in your curriculum here in England, didn't you? And I would like to tell you, Dr. Selim Jahan, that these children are very used to have the idea or notion what you just have mentioned, like tolerance, respect, mutual understanding, and they do also cherish these British values. And if children, you haven't forgotten, like, what are the British value, like, democracy, rule of law, respect and tolerance, individual liberty. And also they do practice, like, all the cultural celebration of each and every religion. So as you know that England is a multicultural city, and our children, they also go to church sing, but they do hold to their values, like, their family values and everything. And this is what, Dr. Selim Jahan just spoke about, like, that when he was young, he did all of that, but uh, I mean, during growing up. But later on, like, when we were with the Pakistan didn't want us to have our independence of mind. Like, we couldn't celebrate our culture. We couldn't have celebrated, like, the way we speak, the way we dress, like our norms and values of Bengali culture. So, and they didn't let us what we wanted to be, what we actually were. I mean, I know some of you have studied, like, history of partition in school, and you have known that, that country, like, when India was divided, it was divided in the basis of religion. That's why Bangladesh, having the majority of the Muslims, fell under the territory of Pakistan. So now I'd like to ask Alize, that do you have anything to say to Dr. Selim Jahan, or ask any question?
Before Alize comes in, I mean, I'm just trying to pick up something from what you have said, Sarah, Farah.
No problem.
I think Pakistan was a very strange country.
Yeah.
At least from two considerations. One is that geographically, the two parts of the country, East Pakistan and West Pakistan, were far apart, about 1,300 miles apart. I mean, you won't find any country in the world where there is that kind of a difference or distance between the major parts of the country. So that's one. The second is something I just want to pick up from Farah, is that Farah made a statement that Pakistan was created on the basis of religion, which is absolutely true. In 1947, Pakistan was created with the argument that in the undivided India, the Muslims were not getting their own share, Muslims were not getting their own rights and everything. So there is a need for a separate land for the Muslims of India. So that's why Pakistan was created in a very strange geographical manner. But the second strange things about this country, that when you compare the people of East Pakistan and West Pakistan, apart from religion, there's nothing in common. The language was different, the culture was different, the food was different, the history was different, the tradition was different. So the only thing that was common between the people of West Pakistan and people of East Pakistan is religion. So as a result, what happened is that because of these differences, the West Pakistan saw East Pakistan as a kind of colony where they can actually take raw materials, they can also use it as a market. So we did not have the equal rights, we did not have the equal voice, we did not have the equal autonomy as that of West Pakistan. So it was a kind of a, how should I put it, is a kind of an unequal relationship. I mean, you cannot have a friendship. I mean, if I use your example, you cannot have a friend who is a bully,
yes, exactly,
who tries to exploit you, who tries to mistreat you. There cannot be a friendship. So
and
similarly,
takes everything good you do, takes
exactly,
everything from you. Yeah.
Exactly. In a country, the two parts cannot have a peaceful coexistence unless there is mutual respect, unless there is a recognition of dignity of the other part of the country, unless there is a regard for the literature, culture, tradition of the other part of the country. That was not there. So the breaking up of Pakistan and the emergence of Bangladesh is a historical reality. It has had to happen. So that's what it happened. Sorry, Eliza, you have
no problem. That's perfect. Eliza, would you like to have your question? ask to Mr. Selim Jahan?
Since the war, the world has evolved a bit. Do you think that's a negative or positive impact?
Since the war, what? Sorry, the world has changed.
Please repeat your question.
Since the war, it's been a while, and the world has evolved a bit more. Has that been a negative or positive impact, in your opinion?
That's also a good question. I mean, since the war, 50 years have passed. And whenever there is a change, there are some negatives and there are some positives, definitely. As you have said, the world has changed, and we know that the world has changed in different ways. Some of the changes are quite fast. I mean, if you look at the whole question of the evolution of your internet and your mobile phone, that has happened during the last 20 years, for example. I give you an example. It took about 100 years for 50% of the Americans to have a radio. 100 years for half of the Americans to have a radio. It took only 10 years to have half of the American to have a cell phone. So you can see that the changes that we are experiencing around ourselves are taking place at a breakneck speed. Some of the things have been positive for Bangladesh, definitely. Bangladesh has progressed a lot during the last 50 years. I mean, as an economist, if I can throw some numbers at you,
I'm sure we could be very interested to know about the.
I mean, that would be very interesting for you. If I take 1990 as my reference point, then during the last 30 years, the economy of Bangladesh has grown 10 times, from a $35 billion economy to $350 billion economy, which is quite impressive. The per capita income of people have gone threefold, which is also impressive. We have been able to reduce the incidence of poverty, which means the number of poor people who live below the poverty line, from 58% to 21%. So that was also quite impressive. And all these successes can also be compared to some of our neighboring nations. As you know, that India and Pakistan have a per capita income which is quite higher than that of Bangladesh. But today, even with a lower per capita income, Bangladesh has a life expectancy of 72 years. 72 years, which in 1990 was only 58 years. So we have a life expectancy, which means how much you can expect to live at birth, which is about 72 years. In India, it is 66. In Pakistan, it is 65. If you look at the under 5 mortality rate, the mortality rate of children who die before reaching the age of 5, in Bangladesh, it is 35 per 1,000 births. In India, it is 45. In Pakistan, it is 85. Apart from the economic things, on the social front also, you know that there have been lots of changes with the empowerment of women. We have also developed the kind of the relationship with the outside world. Bangladesh has been playing a major role in the peacekeeping all around the world and has been lauded for their roles in different countries. There is a country where Bengali is also not Bangladesh, as a second country, where Bengali is also a national language. Second language. Can you tell me what country is that? Anyone? There's a country in Africa. In Africa, where Bengali is the second language. Now,
and also they do sing the song Amar Shonar Bangla.
Okay.
Sierra Leone.
Yeah.
Am I right?
Good. It's Sierra Leone. So we have made a lot of progress, but at the same time, first of all, we should celebrate the progress, definitely. But at the same time, we should also be very wary of some of the developments that are happening today. Bengalis have been very peace-loving people all through their lives. But nowadays we have seen that the whole issue of tolerance is very much at stake in Bangladesh. What I often say that violence has become our culture and terror has become our language. So any kind of differences of opinion, any kind of conflict, we try to resolve it either to resorting to terror or using violence as a means, which really not only saddens me, which worries me. Because if you have that kind of a culture developing in a particular country or in a particular society, the society becomes not only weak, but the whole question of the fabric of the society becomes dangerously at stake. So on certain fronts, economic fronts, definitely we have progressed a lot. But on some of the social fronts, and as you can see in newspapers and others, I think there are some deepening problems like inequalities. There are some emerging problems like climate change in Bangladesh, and there are some worrying problems like the conflict, violence, and terror, and the use of it widely in a Bangladeshi society. So these are some of the, I think, daunting challenges that the country will have to face in years to come.
I'm sure, Elise, you got your answer and you're happy with it. So as Wafiq. Now I would like to ask Aidan. Aidan, are you there?
Yes. I'm here.
Would you like to say anything about Bangladesh or any stories you have in mind? Any memories of Bangladesh?
Any memories of Bangladesh?
Hello, I couldn't hear you.
I do have a story.
Oh, you have a story.
Yes.
Would you like to share with us?
During the Liberation War in 1971, one of the soldiers, the freedom fighters, was named Taramon Bibi. She was a woman. During the war, she was only 16. Her village home was under Sector 11, and the commander of the Sector 11 was Abu Taha. Even though she was only 16, a person named Muhit hired her to become a cook and clean the camps. One day in the infantry regiment, she asked Muhit if she could be trained on firearms such as Lee Enfields or submachine guns. One day during the war, she picked up a gun that she'd never saw before, and she picked it up to defend her soil. In 1973, after the war ended, a award was going to be handed to her, but at the time her location was unknown until 22 years later. A researcher found her location. In December, the award was given to her by the Prime Minister. Sadly, in 2018, she died in December.
Aidan, is that a story of Farah?
Yes.
So where did you learn the story from? Where did you hear the story from? And why did you pick a female freedom fighter?
I learned it from my mom. The reason I picked the female freedom fighter is because they don't get much attention, and they don't get much respect during those days. So if you compare it, it's quite
It's okay. Take your time. Like it's difficult to find a female figure who is very brave, courageous, and who did fight in the war. Yeah.
Yeah. Let me comment on what you have said. One is that a general comment that a lot of the freedom fighters and people fought the liberation war in different ways. Some took up arms and they were on the front fighting the Pakistani soldiers, but people fought in different ways. The people who have provided food to the freedom fighters are also fighters too. People who actually have communicated information about the positions of the Pakistani army to the liberation fronts, they're freedom fighters too. So the point is that there are lots of freedom fighters who are still surviving, who are still alive, and we don't know about them. So I think it's also something that we have to bring it up. We have to bring up the names of the freedom fighters. We have to document those. I mean, the Taraman Bibi, it took about Taraman Bibi 22 years to find out that she was a freedom fighter. So there are lots of freedom fighters, unknown, unrecognized, still surviving, and sometimes surviving very badly. So I think it is the role and the responsibility of the nation, not only the state, all of us, to bring out those stories. That's number one. The number two, there is a misconception actually, is that it's only men who fought. That's not true. That is absolutely not true. There are lots of women freedom fighters, and they have fought on the front. They have supported the freedom fighters in different ways. So therefore, we must take pride in the fact that men and women fought side by side their enemies, and that's why we have this country which is called Bangladesh. So thank you very much for sharing that story with us.
And I must tell you all, like, Taraman Bibi was a female spy. So if any of you have heard about Inayat Noor Khan, who did take part in the Second World War, she was a female spy, a very strong female spy, and Taraman Bibi was our, female spy too. And that's how she started. Like, she used to cook in the camp, and sometimes she used to go to different army camp, disguise herself as a mad woman. She used to act that she's a crazy woman, and that's how she used to gather information for the freedom fighters. And later on, she joined with them. So that's a very inspiring story, Aidan. Thank you for sharing.
And don't all of you think that she's also a Mukti Jodha?
Yes.
She's a Mukti Jodha, isn't it?
Yeah, she was awarded Gallantry Award of Bir Pratik.
Sure.
So that's I think second or third highest rank.
Yes,
if I'm correct. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think I see the
Lupa and Michelle, Wafiq, any question or anything you'd like to share, please? Yes, Wafiq, please go on. And
so, if someone asked me why the fight occurred, what would I tell them in like a few words, in a summary?
First of all, I would not use the word fight. It was a liberation war. You will see lots of people using different terms for that. Sometimes fight, sometimes all kinds of noises and that kind of thing. It was a liberation war. So let us get the narrative right. The answer to your question, that the liberation war started because of the long history of exploitation, discrimination, disparity, indignity, and inequality. And if I, in a very short way, present the case for you, Pakistan was born on 14th of August 1947. And as I said, the Muslims in India thought that they need a separate land so that they can thrive, so that they can prosper and all kinds of things. So in a strange way, this country has been created with two parts of the country as two wings of a bird, far apart, and also with groups of people who are, apart from religion, were totally different from each other. So the dream about Pakistan and the idea of Pakistan was shattered when in 1948 the rulers of Pakistan have declared that Urdu shall be the state language of Pakistan. And remind you that in 1947, East Pakistan had a population of 50 million, West Pakistan had a population of 40 million. So we were the majority. So therefore, if there is a question of state language, it should be Bangla, because most of the people speak in Bangla. And even in West Pakistan, actually, not all of them speak in Urdu. The people from Northwest Frontier Province speak in Pashto. The people from Punjab speaks Punjabi and that kind of thing. So that was the first blow on our language. And as you know, that in 1952, there was the language movement where students were killed. So the first attack came on our language, on our culture. And it became very clear that they are not going to let us have our say either in our culture, in our language, or in any aspect of life. So the language movement was the starting of a series of movement for the next 20 years. There was a movement in 1954, and then martial was declared in Pakistan in 1958, which was basically the death of democracy. And there was this military dictator Ayub Khan, who came into power and ruled Pakistan for 10 years. Now, during all these years, what was happening is there was a very careful transfer of resources from East Pakistan to West Pakistan. And let me give you a very simple example. At that point in time, the major exports from Pakistan was jute.
Yes.
And 100% of the jutes were produced in East Pakistan. They used to be exported to the rest of the world, and the foreign exchange earned were actually diverted to West Pakistan and were used for making that country beautiful. So we were producing the exportables. The earnings were going to West Pakistan. There was no representation of East Pakistanis or Bengalis at senior positions. There's few representations in the higher ranks of the army. When people used to go outside on a scholarship, mostly it was West Pakistani. So these are very simple examples of how we have been exploited there. There was also the indignity because they used to look down at us in every respect there. So the whole question of having autonomy, self-determination were growing up. There were again movements in 62. In 66, Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, you may have heard it, came with Shoy-Dafa, or 6 points. And basically the 6 points was to highlight our rights for self-determination, our rights for self-autonomy, equity, dignity, and everything. And East Pakistanis or Bengalis actually rallied behind him. But then when two things happened in 69 and 70, one was there was a very big cyclone in East Pakistan in 1970, a huge one, where almost 1 million people died. And there was total insensitivity on the rulers of West Pakistan to this dire situation here. So Bengalis could understand that they will not be looked after, they will not be supported, even though they're citizens of this country. The second thing is the election that I have already mentioned, that the Awami League have the absolute majority. Yet, we have been denied our role, and we have been denied our access to power and everything. And there are lots of things happening. So on 7th of March, 1971, Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujib addressed the whole nation, and you must have heard that speech either in Bengali or actually read it in English, where basically he was asking for independence there. And when the Pakistani rulers actually tried to have some kind of a discussion, actually that was a pretense. For the 25 days they were discussing things either in Dhaka or in outside of Dhaka. But in the meantime, they're bringing thousands of soldiers to East Pakistan. And remember, at that point in time, India has said that there cannot be any Pakistani planes flying over India. So they're going all around India, over Sri Lanka and coming back. And then they attacked us on the 25th of March. And that was the Operation Searchlight, as they call it. And they started this whole thing. So,
and they have killed many people in the streets of Dhaka. There were dead bodies lying everywhere in the streets of Dhaka. Blood were all over. So from rickshaw puller to people from different class and ages were lying down in the streets of Dhaka.
Absolutely. So a short answer to your question is that it is, even though we are part of Pakistan, A, it was a very strange country geographically. B, there are very little similarities between the people of the two parts. And C, there was massive exploitation, disparity, inequality, and denial of self-determination and autonomy that ultimately led us to a liberation war, take up arms against them. And that is the rationale for the liberation war that we fought in 1971.
Thank you, Dr. Selim Jahan. We are already at the end of our program. Actually, we are over 12 minutes of our program, since children took so much interest in listening the stories from you, and they had their ideas and shared their thoughts. So I would like to finish the session in next 10 minutes. So I would like to ask each of the children that if they have anything to say, last words or any question. So please.
Once they are finished,
this is your floor. So I would start with Nuha. Nuha, your last words for Dr. Selim Jahan and for the audience and for us, your thoughts or anything in 2 minutes. Thank you.
I think the freedom fighters are very brave, and it's really remarkable what you did at such a young age, especially 20 years old. You weren't, it's really it's really respectable, and I'm really proud to be Bangladeshi because we were such a great nation and we fought for what we believed in. And yeah,
thank you, Nuha.
Thank you. Alize, please.
Thank you for sharing with us. It's nice to know where we come from and what our generation is gonna do.
Thank you.
Thank you. Rida, you want to say something to us? Something funny, something interesting, something you want to say thank you to us? Yes. Thank you, Rida, for being here. Wafiq, please.
Thank you for educating us on Bangladesh's history of how they had the liberal war and why it happened, what our situation is now, and our privileges that we have that people back then didn't.
Is Michelle here? I see Michelle is not online now. So did she get disconnected? Michelle Muhammad, please. Anyway, I would like to ask Aiden to say something. What would be your last word?
Thank you for sharing more information about where we come from, about the war.
Thank you. Elisa has some. Thank you. Elisa has some. Did I say raise hand? No. Did I say raise?
Okay, thank you all. I'm sure you take pride in being labeled as British Bangladeshi. So, and I hope that you take as much pride as possible in your heritage, in your culture, in your everyday life, called as a Bangladeshi, British Bangladeshi. And I hope you have enjoyed your time with us and you take much more interest to know about Bangladesh more. And I know that you do visit Bangladesh, you do have relatives coming from Bangladesh, and I know you all like Bangladeshi food, Bangladeshi culture. You all have been to the Boishakhi Mela, which we do have, which we do celebrate each year in London here. And some of you do dance, some of you do singing in Bangla, and most of you have attended Bangla lesson, and some of you can read. So thank you all for being here, and thank you so much, Dr. Selim Jahan, for being with us. Michelle, we were just signing off, so would you like to say a last word? What would be your last word? Thank you.
Michelle, I have something to say. Okay, go ahead.
Of course. Michelle, can you hear me, please? Yeah, play. Can I have
Yeah,
your last
sorry,
word in 1 minute time? That's perfectly all right. Please go on, love. Your last thoughts
yeah.
about this program and everything.
So my Wi-Fi cut off, so I had to
That's
rejoin.
perfectly all right.
So I want to ask you. Yeah, hi.
Yeah, go on.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah. So Mr. Jahan said something really interesting about how our society kind of acts. All right. Thank you.
You're breaking up.
Thank you for the show today.
Yeah, sorry. Okay.
It's really interesting.
So what I can concrete from her words, she said that you have shared something really interesting about the society and how it has evolved, and she thanked you for sharing the stories. So she feels proud of her
Thank
heritage
you.
and
Thank
roots.
you.
And I do feel like children from today onwards who are with us today on this show and who are watching us across the world, I hope they would take interest in Bangladesh, because after all, no matter wherever in the globe you are, you can be like American Bangladeshi, British Bangladeshi, or Australian Bangladeshi, but you always carry your family, the Bengali lineage with you, because you cannot change your genetics. So do take pride in your roots, because the stronger you stand, the stronger you have connection with your roots, the better person you will be towards the world, and you will be a wonderful citizen, I do believe. So be a proud Bangladeshi. Thank you.
Exactly.
And last word from the Selim Jahan. Thank you.
No, I should have my 2 minutes too. So I'm using my 2 minutes. I have a story, and then I have something to say. One is that I went to Vientiane, the capital of Lao PDR, in 2017. So I met the vice premier of that country, and in that meeting, I actually carried some Bijoyphool in my pocket, and I was actually wearing one myself on the lapel of my trouser, of my jacket. So what happened is that I pinned the Bijoyphool to different leaders, to the jackets of different leaders, and one of those, or one of the leaders whom I have pinned the Bijoyphool, was the finance minister of Pakistan. And I thought that was a great moment for me to actually put the Bijoyphool on the jacket of minister from Pakistan. So that's the story. Thank you very much for being here, and also to listening to me. It has been a pleasure for me, because, as I said, that you are young, and I also consider myself to be young. I am less young than you are. That's basically it. But I really enjoy talking to young people, and I enjoyed this conversation too. You are British Bangladeshis, and you should be proud of both of your identities. You should be proud of being a British. You should also be proud being a Bangladeshi. We don't know where we will be going, but we must know where we have come from. Because unless you know where you have come from, you actually have difficulty in where you should be going. So therefore, it's absolutely essential that you know your heritage, you know your roots. Remember Kinta Kunte in The Roots by Alex Haley? So therefore, you have to remember your roots. You should be very proud of it. And I think London provides you with a kind of an environment where you can actually be proud of both of your roots, because there is a critical mass of Bangladeshis, the Bengalis in London. So you are in a very fortunate position where you can celebrate Boishakhi Mela or all kinds of the festivities that we have. In a small city in either in Britain or in the USA, they don't have that kind of an opportunity there. So use it as much as you can. be part of the Bengali culture. And I'm so proud of you, that all of you are very much associated with the Bijoyphool, and you take an active interest in it and also the history of the country. I wish you all the best, and you will go far, and you have made me proud, and we will always be very proud of you in coming days. Stay safe and stay well. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Selim Jahan, and thank you, Opu Islam, for giving us all the technical support from the background. So we are grateful to you. So now I'm signing off, thanking all my children, lovely children, Adiba Hussein, Radia Hussein, Alize, Wafiq Zaman, Michelle Muhaiman, and Aidan Ahmed. Thank you for being with us. It's a pleasure hosting you all, and I take pride in it. I take pride in calling you all British Bangladeshi. I take pride in saying that, I come from Bangladesh. Long live Bangladesh, শুভ বিজয় দিবস। ধন্যবাদ। ধন্যবাদ সকলকে আমাদের সাথে থাকার জন্য। আমি অত্যন্ত দুঃখিত যে আপনাদের সবার কমেন্টস আজকে আমার পড়া হয়নি। আমাদের বাচ্চারা এত উৎসাহ নিয়ে সেলিম জাহানের সাথে কথা বলছিল যে আমি আর সময়ই পাইনি আপনাদের কমেন্টস গুলা পড়ার, আপনাদের সুন্দর। বাট আপনাদের সকলকে ধন্যবাদ আমাদের সাথে থাকার জন্য, আমাদেরকে দেখার জন্য, আমাদের বাচ্চাদেরকে উৎসাহ দেওয়ার জন্য, এবং বিজয় ফুলের পক্ষ থেকে সকলকে শুভেচ্ছা বিজয় দিবসের। ধন্যবাদ। থ্যাংক ইউ।
বিজয় ফুল আমাদের মুক্তিযুদ্ধ বিজয়ের প্রতীক। ডিসেম্বরের 1 থেকে 16 তারিখ প্রতিদিন বিজয় ফুল পড়ুন, বিজয়কে বুকে ধারণ করুন।